Dear, it's smokier than when the squirrels clogged up my chimney with their nest. Oh, how are you guys today? Huh? It's good to see you again. Oh, you brought me something. Oh, a piece of wood. Oh, Barney wanted to know if this was the right size for my fireplace for wood burning. Wood burning? Oh! I've really been using that a little too much, but yeah, no, not that kind of wood burning. I mean, art wood burning. Let me show you what I mean by that. So you can make wood burnings on little. Just tell Bernie to cut the slabs thin like this. But make things like this. Your last name on it, your initials, or something just a little bit more traditional. Think about what you could do with this. Ezra's room, Ledbetter's cabin. You could have acorns and leaves all around it, and it's a very natural looking thing. Yes. When you do a wood burning, you'll have to select the wood that you want to burn. And there's all kinds of sizes and shapes. Here's a nice little square one. And here is a nice round piece. See, it's a little different on that side. But I selected the round piece. Feels very natural to me. Now I want to trace this onto the paper. And so I put it down like this. And I trace the inner part, angling the pencil whenever it goes under, like it really undercuts here. We want to know the true surface and shape that we're working with. And there's the drawing space that you have. Now, if I flipped it the other way, that would have changed the shape. Now you want to draw your image. So here is what I drew. And this is Beard's Tree Service. This is the neighbor of Bernie's that cut the trees down for him that were too big for him to cut. So he wants to give him a little gift. So one thing that we have to consider is that pencil drawing is not quite like wood burning. Something that's a closer match, kind of a cousin to wood burning, is pen and ink drawing. So this is blended in and shaded, but pen and ink drawing uses lines and dots called stippling and cross hatching to shade. And so with a wood burner, you can't shade with a blender or nice and smooth. You have to use dots and lines. So it doesn't hurt to practice a little bit of your cross hatching, your pen and ink techniques. It's drawing lines evenly spaced, kind of like this. Maybe pressing a little bit harder in the beginning and lightening up toward the bottom. And then you come the opposite way for when you cross hatch. The closer together you put lines, the darker it gets, and the less of them, the lighter. So that's cross hatching. Now stippling is the most detailed one. It's showing that the sun is over here, and that means the top area of this circle is going to be bright, and this lower area, lots and lots of dots. So you start off kind of making like this crescent moon pattern and just putting so many dots. You carefully place them where you want them, and you let it become like a value scale or more shaded by lightening them up. Over here we see line. Now this line has to curve with the shape of the object to make it look natural, right? If I want it darker, put in more. You might notice that if I put a line like this, it's not correct. It flattens out the shape. So here's an example of a pen and ink drawing. What technique did they use primarily? Dots, cross-hatching, or line? That's right, lots of lines, just tons of lines. This one, can you pick out some places where they use stippling? Yeah, right here. Now where's the cross-hatching? Just down here in the tablecloth, and line here. So you could use all the types. You can create your own types. Like this is kind of a scribbly, crosshatchy line kind of thing. And so on your drawing, you might want to go back in and redo the pencil so that it's using pen and ink techniques. So here I would probably use line in the shadow areas, kind of following some of the curve in the wood grain. Making it darker here, right? Maybe I want to use dots on the axe blade. And down here on this bark, I think lots of little lines coming in this way, because this is really practice for how your wood burning is going to go. You don't want to get to the wood burning and be like, oh my, I have no idea what I'm doing. Then you mess up your wood and then it just all goes up in smoke. Yeah. So we have this. Now what we want to do is flip it on the back and start to shade this as darkly as you can with pencil. I like to do it this way rather than using carbon paper, which tends to stain the outline, stick on the wood too much. Now fast forward, here we are. We have it all very darkly shaded. The darker you can get it, the better. Now we want to tape this onto the wood. Line it up real well. Little bit challenging when you're trying to find the outer edge, and because you'll have to really wrap this tape around and get that tape to stick just like that. And make sure it's really that your image is all on there. And then of course you just trace over it with nice slow steady pressure, right? Then you take this off and let's see what we have. Okay, it's almost like Christmas. Oh my, look at that, so much nicer on wood. Okay, here are the tips. There's wood burners come with many different types of tips. These two, this is a nice pointy one, and I think this would be generally good for, you could just draw and go any direction you want. Pretty overall good. This one's a little different. This most traditional. It has this straight edge on it, which works well for like you're doing boards on the side of a barn. You can pull down straight, or you can switch it over and just burn with the very tip, and it would burn something like this. Yes. And the one that I've been doing I plan to do most all my burning with is this one. And you can see that how nice and thin it is. I think it's probably the most detailed one of all of them. Now, a little word about safety. You do not want to touch any of the metal. I think that's obvious. This metal here get very hot. So once you have your wood burner on and it's warmed up for about 5 minutes, you're ready to start. Now, I'd like to outline everything first before I get into the fine shading and details. So that's what you see. I've outlined the axe, started to outline the lettering. And you'll notice that with wood burning, it's a much slower process than with like a pen and ink or a pencil. It takes a while for it to burn, and you can't rush it. You'll have to take your time and let it slowly work across. Now, the first time I go over in an area, I like to just slowly let it make its progress through there. And then you can go over the second time once to burn deeper, and even deeper a third time, a fourth time, however many times you want. Wood burning can be like carving almost, but you're using the burning to get lots of depth down. And then the lighter details like the stippling and line and all these sorts of things, you'll put them on probably lighter than the outline. But you can probably see here how it's kind of a spotted, uneven edge. It's very difficult to get wood burning to be super neat and smooth. That's because the wood grain tends to hinder. So you want wood like basswood, I believe, that are soft and not a real rough, grainy type of wood. So you'll have to, that's another reason you have to take your time and go slow, or you just can get even more bumpy than you have. So I'll keep going. One other thing that I would like to say is that this is, I said about it being pen and ink techniques. Now, I think that that is true, but it's closer to a blend of pencil drawing and pen and ink techniques. You can do a lot of things by just kind of rubbing the tip over it and getting a light shade or burn. But really, you just have to try this out and see what is working for you. You might want to practice a little bit first on a scrap piece of wood before you jump right into your final.
Well, there we go. It is all finished. Well, look at that. All we have to do now, we can put in some light watercolor if we want to bring out certain aspects of it. I experimented on the paper a little bit. I didn't really like the way the red and green looked, so I'm going to just leave it all natural. We could put a little bit of linseed oil on it. If we wanted to natural, we could varnish it. In fact, this is so beautiful, so nice, so exquisite in the details and the contrast. You know, I'm thinking this. I've been chasing the Mona Lisa for years and years of my life. This might be my Mona Lisa. I might go down in history as the creator of the Beard's Tree Service sign. They might not know me, but they will know who made the sign. You think this be my Mona Lisa? No. No? No? This? What would it take? My calloused hands, my worn out erasers. How many nights must I burn the midnight oil chasing her? How many pencils must die? I must be getting closer to Mona Lisa. Closer and closer to my Mona Lisa. Where are you, my Mona Lisa? Oh, here. Oh! Oh! More like a nightmare when you see her up close. That Mona Lisa, she's a hard woman to chase down. Maybe I just need to work a little bit hard. More wood burning. I'll get her yet.